All right, 7.4, evaluate logarithms. I'm often going to just say logs. Logarithms is too long to say. All right, so a definition of a log with base b. And because I'm quite sure somebody's going to ask, no, the L doesn't have to be cursive and whatever. I just like doing it that way.
But it's fun. You can't do it. Yes, I can.
Are you practicing?
Yes.
Let b and n be positive numbers. In music it is. Math it is not. With b not equal to 1, the log of n with base b is denoted log with a little subscript b of n. So this would be log base b of n is how that would be said. And is defined as let's just say as follows. Log base b of n is equal to p if and only if. So remember the IFF is if and only if. Or if you remember from geometry, you probably had that symbol. B raised to the p is equal to n.
Isn't there a gas station BP written like that?
It's not, I don't think it's written like that, but there is a gas station BP.
I don't think it's. I didn't get something. What is it with you with these 7 points? It's awesome.
All right, so this first one here is said as log base b of some number. Oh, wait, let me do this. Log base b of some number n is equal to some power p. And you're probably like, p does not appear to be a power. Well, that's because when I write it for this other one, okay, it's going to be base b raised to power p is equal to some number n. Now, when I was taught this stuff, that was the only way, was just to memorize log base b of n equals p and b to the p equals n. However, I found that that's can be a little bit confusing with all the letters, so I show you a little trick that I think makes it easier as far as this goes. So, logs and exponentials are inverses of each other. So I'm going to do one where I'm going log to exponential. And then I'm going to do one that's going exponential to log. So skip a line because there's going to be a little phrase here that I'm going to write for both of these. And then I would skip like one line again after that and then write log base b of n equals p on this side, and over here write base b to the power p equals n, because we're going to be kind of like drawing a little bit, so you need a little bit of space. All right, so my little catchphrase for log to exponential, I'm trying to get to an exponential, so we make an E.
Oh.
So we start here, so watch. Okay, we start here. Oh, apparently I picked the whole thing up. We start here and we loop around and it makes an E.
What?
B to the P equals N.
So we'd be wrong. Okay. Wait.
So without having to memorize that, how to manipulate this, okay, you might have it down with this form, but when we start throwing numbers and letters in there that aren't these, this makes it easier. So you start at the base, and you loop around, and you come back, and you follow the E around to write out your log as an exponential, which will help us to solve it.
So we're not moving anything over? We
No,
just move the
you can't
B.
move anything over. This is all one unit.
So we get points for drawing an E. Wait, like, how do we solve it? I'll just wait till next example. Mine doesn't look like an E, it just looks like a circle.
Some people call it a swirl or curly Q. I just say an E because mine usually look like a cursive kind of
Mine
E.
looks like
It looks like the top of the L, except with the curve on it.
Well, that leads into, if I'm doing an exponential to a log,
Whoa,
anybody want to guess?
It goes
Write
back.
a fancy
I
L.
make an L.
They're both L's. One's cursive. Wait.
So we start, again, I would watch. We start here, we come down, we go through, and we come back. So this is log base B of N equals P.
Make a log cabin. This is goofy. So we come down the B. And we both go right to the end. You go right.
I don't think Ryan was watching because he doesn't know what's happening.
No, I do. I'm just like tired of letters.
But you get to use a calculator after.
Oh, okay. Yay.
Well, some of them you won't need one, but you get to.
Yeah, but you can use it on this one, right?
Yeah, I'm so confused.
All right.
Emotional support calculators.
So, another definition,
How do they have two definitions?
not of the same thing.
Why are you looking at me?
For a common
That one has-
logarithm. Anybody know what a common logarithm is?
A logarithm
Common one?
equal.
With a 2, maybe.
They both have 3.
It's a log with base 10.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you don't say it like you know that.
Is it uncommon
Multiplication.
logarithm if it's log with base 11?
No, it's just a log. This one's just a
Special.
fancy one.
Log.
So log of x is equal to log base 10 of x. So this is the way we would write a common log. We would not write base 10. Okay? It would just be log of x. So if you've ever paid attention to your calculator,
I never
this
did
is
it.
for Ryan. Over here on the left-hand side of your calculator, you see the word log. That is exclusively for a log base 10.
Right.
Okay, aka a common log. So there's no base on this one. If we need something that is a common log, we use this button. If we need a log base something else, we can't use that one. Okay?
do a log with a different base?
You'll see when we get there. Now, there's another definition, because we can have multiple in math. The natural log.
I did two yesterday.
Apparently, I don't want to finish the word. Logarithm. A natural logarithm is a log with base. Anybody know?
5.
Nope.
2. Dang.
1.
E.
I knew that.
What we did yesterday.
2.71.
AKA button on your calculator.
So I have a question. How come the like stuff after the 1 just gets chopped off? Like, how come it's not 2.72? Like, because there was an 8 after the 1, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, people don't usually stop there.
Okay.
We would use the E button, just like we would.
Yeah.
We have an E button.
Like with pi, you would technically, at this point, you would be using the pi button. You wouldn't just be saying 3.14. I was just saying if you like are estimating it, people would round it like you would with pi.
Alright, that makes sense.
You know they brought the.
So ln of x is equal to log base e of x. So we wouldn't write log base e of x. We would write ln of x. You'll notice on your calculator under that log button, there was a button that said ln. That's for that situation.
Oh, I thought it was I.
Nope, it's ln.
It looks like
Now, that does bring up a good point, though. The reason that I use cursive L's, specifically when I'm writing this kind of log here, like the little lower, like the actual solving log, is because otherwise it kind of looks like 1 times n times x. Okay? Now, I don't care if you use print or cursive. I don't care. I use the cursive L just so that it's clear that it's not like a 1 times something. Now, a couple properties of logs. I think there's more that come later, but there's a couple that you need to know in this section. Yeah. Properties of logs. The log of 1. So log base b of 1 is equal to 0 because b to the 0 is equal to 1.
E degrees or B0?
B to the 0. Log base, or let's see, hold on. Log of b with base b is log base b of b equals 1 because b to the 1 is equal to b.
Some people weren't even in one of our classes, and they just PE, and they were there for like 5 minutes. It was like pickleball. I want them to come in.
I mean, how much do
You
they
should've
have
been with
to
them.
observe in PE?
Well, just come to another one of my classes.
There were some classes convinced that they were like coming to look at them, and I was like, they're not here for you.
But I need to like.
And then I had classes that wanted to introduce themselves, and I was like, no, you're not going to introduce yourself. That's not what they're here for.
If they walk in, I'm
Huh?
Hi, I'm
Hannah's
Ryan.
class.
Hannah?
Wait, what?
Do
What
you
class
know
is
the
that?
answer?
7th grade.
I don't teach 7th grade.
Good, because you get my brother.
What?
You should ask them.
You know something that I don't know? What's this
What?
dude?
All right. Rewrite the equation in exponential form. So number 4. Log base 7 of 343 equals 3. And they want us to rewrite this as an exponential. So log to an exponential, I make an E. So I start here, loop around. So 7 to the third equals 343, which is true.
Oh, that's where you get.
So you can't just make up random things to put in logs, okay? It has to make a true statement. I can't just be like, log base 2 of 72 equals 3. Like, that's not true, right? Because 2 cubed is not equal to 72. So it has to, like, make sense. People sometimes just start throwing random things in there and thinking that it's fine. It doesn't make a true statement. You can't do it.
How would you check that?
Follow
You do
the
7
line.
to the cubes equals 343.
Or you could just
No,
follow
like-
the lines, Mason.
Hold on.
From the 7
I'm-
to the 3 to the.
I understand what's happening, but how does this relate to exponents? Like, is there something I can just look at and be like, oh, that makes sense because exponents?
Funny E.
Yes, because 7 to the third is equal to 343.
Okay.
So
And
it's
is
saying.
that true every time?
It has to
It
be,
has to.
or the log can't. Like this, normally you're gonna get something like the next, like some of them that we're gonna do. So, for example, that's not a good. We're gonna do 8, but just give it a second. 10, for example, would be log base 6 of 216.
6.
We didn't do 8.
So what
I'm
that's
going back
saying-
to
Are
it.
you listening?
No.
So what's that's saying when you have what power is 6 raised to get 216?
Exactly, yes. So what I normally will do when I'm solving these is I'm going to set it equal to x, and then I'm going to say, okay, 6 raised to what power is equal to 216? You may or may not know that off the top of your head. Some of these are, whatever. But once we get to the calculator questions, I'll show you how to type it in. You could check it to see that you did it right. And I mean, if you just keep multiplying 6, you know what 6 times 6 is. If you multiply it
36.
one more time, it's
Right.
180.
this would be 3. Yeah.
36, 6, 2, 1, 6.
All right, number 8. And just to be clear, the problems that are without a calculator, because these ones are, you would need to show this step. Okay, obviously, I'm not expecting that you knew that 6 cubed was 216, like off the top of your head. You could use your calculator to determine that, but you need to show the step of how to rewrite it first on the without a calculator ones. On the calculator ones, you'll just type it in. All right, back to 8. Log base 15 of 15 is equal to what?
Wait. I need a copy.
What's a property? Log
log
base
of
b
b
of
with
b is
base
equal to
b.
1. Yep.
So,
I'm really good at this already.
I'm going to go back up for a second and add something onto this property that I gave you. So, if this was, because this is one that they don't give you yet, but that I think is good to know. If I had log base b of b to the x, it's equal to x. It's equal to whatever the power of this is.
Well, that makes sense.
Okay.
Because of the E.
And when we get to the next section, it'll make even more sense because there's another log property that we use this will make way more sense at that point. But if you have a base of a number that is the same thing, like this, so log base b of b, whatever b is raised to is always going to be your answer. So technically speaking, that's what's happening on this problem. Because this is really log base 6 of 6 cubed. So this is equal to 3. But if it's a number like that you're not familiar with, like if this had to do with 2s, you'd probably pick it up a lot quicker. This one was just a weird one.
I understand what's happening. I just don't understand why the logs exist yet, but I'm sure we'll figure that out.
you know what then?
Yeah, it's more to end up helping you solve stuff in the long run, like word problems and things. So that these will allow us now to solve things like the interest problems we were doing yesterday, but where we can solve for like time, for how long it would take to get to a certain amount of money, or yeah, I don't know. There's different ones, but that's one I can think of right now. Or potentially even finding the rate. Like, we don't usually do that, but like you could figure out what rate it would be or whatever. 12. Log base 9, not lag, log base 9 of 1 is equal to what? 0. It's another property.
Log of 1.
14. Log base 3 of 1 over 27 equals what? So, with this one, I would set it equal to x. We start here, we make the e. So 3 to the x equals 1 over 27.
1/3.
Negative 3.
-3 because 3 to the x would be equal to 3 to the -3. These have the same base, so their exponents must be the same. So that would be -3. Because if a to the x is equal to a to the b, x must be equal to b.
Real.
16. Log base 1/4 of 16 equals what? So I would put my x there. I'm going to make my e, so start at 1/4, loop through x.
-4.
So 1/4 raised to the x equals 16. So what I might do with this one is I might write this as 4 to the -x, right? Is equal to 4 squared. So then, yes, Zach, you were right. -x equals 2 or x equals -2 would be that one. But if you just see it like he did, that's fine. Like, you don't have to show all these. You need to show the step of rewriting it, but then after that, however you get, like, you can get to the answer, that's fine. All right, Ryan's favorite part.
Calculator.
Calculator questions. Number 20. The log of 14. So on your calculator, you're going to hit that log button, and then you're going to type 14 and then hit enter into
Wow.
2 decimal places. Tell me what it is.
1.15.
1.15.
Log of 14.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
22. ln of 0.43. So you're going to hit the ln button, then 0.43.
-0.84.
I got -1.
Negative.
-0.84. I got that too.
I think you did it.
Yes, I did. I just said it wrong.
Shepard, are you consistently using that calculator now, or are you still using your old one?
I'm using this one.
Okay.
I don't lost it.
Okay. I just wanted to confirm because the old calculator will not allow us to do the next thing that we're about to do. So I wanted to know.
You want to let a student ask it?
No, I said the old calculator will not let us do what we are
Oh,
about to
I said
do.
let
So I
student.
wanted to make sure, because if I have to show you a different way, I will. But all right. Well, actually, before would do this next one, but type in, this one's not in here, but I want you to do this one. The log of -3, and you got to use that negative button, not the minus.
Real answer.
Can't have a negative in a log; it makes it undefined.
What?
That's nice.
Wait.
No, Danny.
Did you break yours?
No, I'm confused.
No, Daniel.
So
No.
if I had
But
like
it's cold.
log to -8, would that work?
What?
Or, no, wait. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, I understand.
Alright, one more. If I had log base 3 of 15.
Equals x. Oh, calculator.
Basically, but we don't have the button for that. It has to be the base one, right?
She's gonna.
So, we're going to go to math. And you're going to arrow up, because otherwise you're going to be arrowing down for a while. And you're going to see this log base. For some reason, it's all caps. I don't know why. But log base. You're going to notice there's a little box, then a big box. The little box is the base. So log base 3 of 15.
It's 2.46.
2 point. No.
2.46.
No, because the 9 goes to the 5, and then that would make that a 7.
No. What?
What?
You just keep rounding.
I missed what we did for the natural log.
Just the LN button. It's underneath the log button.
Oh, it looks like an I, but okay.
Yeah.
That looks like an L.
No, it doesn't.
Mine looks like an L.
Mine is a capital L, but I think on the newer ones they're not capital L's.
Mine's a lowercase
Okay.
All right, one other property.
What?
L.
Again.
Whoa.
One other property that you don't have yet
Oh, shoot.
that apparently is in this section. Yes, it is if I have base b raised to the log base b of x,
Oops.
this is equal to x. So a b or any number raised to a log base b or a base of that same number is equal to whatever is in here. So if I have a problem like 28, 7 to the log base 7 of x, this is equal to
Keep writing it wrong.
7.
No,
x.
Oh.
7 is b.
I don't like having to write all these little letters inside of the letters.
Yeah. It's not on my
Yeah,
list.
it's a real pain when I have to write them on a quiz and test because it's like it like shrinks the print down really tiny.
They're already really small, especially the fraction ones.
Yeah.
That's mine.
That's
Oh.
Did I give you yours back?
Yeah.
32.
Mine's black.
Log base 6 of 36 to the x.
Is
Any ideas what I could do with this one?
it's x.
Oh, I know.
No, it's not that special.
You
can
can
take-
rewrite 36.
As
6
what?
squared.
As
6
Yep.
squared.
So this would be log base 6 of 6 to the 2x.
To the 2x, and not just 2 squared. I mean,
No,
not just
but-
squared.
Yes, because it's 36 raised to the x. So if I do 6 squared, it would end up being,
Oh.
if you want to see it, it would really be log base 6 of 6 squared raised to the x, which you just multiply their exponent. So that's why it's written that way. So what would the answer to this be?
Log of x. X. Wait, because the bases are same, but you can take one out.
So if these are the same,
it equals whatever the exponent is, so 2x.
yep.
Yeah.
All right, last one, 34. Log base 5 of 125x. Or, sorry, 125 raised to the x.
It's 5 times 5 times 5 is 3.
3x.
3x.
Yep, so log base 5 of 5 to the 3x is equal to
3x.
3x.
Man, this makes sense.
All right, 3, 9, 13, 15, 23, 25, 29, 31, and 33. So I'm sure that seems like a lot of numbers, but
It is.
it shouldn't take you long. All right, I'm gonna Basically gonna give you an option. We can either quiz on Friday, or we can quiz on Monday.
Friday.
Friday.
Oh,
Okay.
that's-